Yo, what up, everybody? My name is Nicholas Side, and this is Old School Meets New School. And today we are going back to my favorite system with some of my favorite games, and we are going to Sega CD to play, drumroll please, Sherlock Holmes. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but so it's only got 3 cases. You can beat these extremely quickly if you want. But if you play it and then like every 2 to 3 years you sit there and you wait, you'll forget about it enough where you can kind of sit there and say to yourself, okay, I could play this again. I don't remember. We can do this. And so we will be playing this here. I won't be doing it for speed or to get the least amount of points. I am actually going to play this to, I guess, get the best story. There's the minimal amount of points you can get on each case, and the goal is for the player to eventually, which really, each person you talk to has a specific amount of points that they give you, and then you have to go to a trial. So basically with this game, it's about kind of figuring things out, and then you kind of just know the answers at that point because nothing ever changes with this game. So our first case is gonna be good. It's time for Sega CD. I definitely was a Sega kid. I love Sega. Best system, hands down, in my book. Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective, Volume 2. All right, let's look at Holmes' introduction.
London is not a beautiful city. Under the soot that covers its buildings is a teeming mass of 4 million souls trying to survive, mostly off of each other. You see it in the paper every day. Thankfully, we have the London Times to keep us informed of all these troubling activities with an unbiased eye and razor-sharp accuracy. We find this publication to be of invaluable assistance in our investigations, and I'm sure you will as well. Among the forces of evil which run rampant in this city, there are also, thankfully, 2 groups of individuals who will aid us in our cause. As we do, they attempt to right wrongs and restore harmony and civility to the streets of London. The first of these groups is a ragtag association of young ruffians. I call them the Baker Street Irregulars.
Irregulars.
Don't let them fool you. They may be scruffy and ill-bred, but they are on the right side of the law. They can go everywhere, see everything, and overhear everyone. They are my eyes and ears in the streets of London, unquestionably a tremendous asset in our work. They will help us in our investigations if they can. The other group is a far more civilized collection of gentlemen and institutions. I call them the Baker Street Regulars.
Yeah.
They, too, will be extremely useful in our work.
So high-tech with just simply
At the start
calling
of any
them.
investigation, do keep in mind that it is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Unwittingly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. The people and places to whom I will now introduce you will help us to collect the facts. May we use them wisely. Come, the game's afoot.
I'll be honest, I never use the Baker Street Irregulars as he calls them. All right. I'm not gonna go through all these. They go through it. Somerset House is kind of just them talking to each other. The library is not all that big. Scotland Yard, it's weird. Scotland Yard is just like a quick cheat to get to other people. It's actually easier to go directly to the people. This guy right here is pretty big. Sherwell, he's kind of like your underground, like the underground guy. Hall is like the lawyer who kind of figures out some stuff. And then everybody else, they give you 2 books. So it's funny because they give you 2 books. And so it ends up working out where you just kind of go, if you really wanted to, you could go through one book and then you'll get enough information where you can kind of answer some of the other stuff. But they make the game very easy. Like they're not trying to stump people. It's more supposed to have been the big enjoyment of the FMV style gaming. But all right, so now it's time for the Two Lions case.
I dare say, Holmes, I believe someone has left a note upon our door. Dear Mr. Holmes, please check today's Times. I think you will find something of interest. Signed, a friend.
So it's all about the date. That's really all you got to care about. Remembering, of course, about lines is pretty big, too. But it was the 17th of August, 1888. So first step is to check the times. Okay. So I'm not going to kill you by going through every single one of these. I already know what these are. But there are 3 articles, basically, for this case. 3 articles you want to read. One is about the Lions murder in Hyde Park. Talking about the mysterious and weird murder of 2 male lions shot to death. Weird? I think so. No clues, no knowledge of why. Just freaky stuff. I don't know. Can I? Oh, I think it will shoot me over to the next page, won't it? Yeah. So the next one is on the second page, but we just scroll quickly through. Is the mysterious death of Stephen Lyons. He also was found dead mysteriously on the sidewalk, St. George Road. First officer. Gives you some knowledge. One few things you gotta remember is the shipping company, which really they talk about again, so it's not the biggest deal in the entire world. And that's about it, because everything else, to be honest with you, in videos you will get. So Stephen Lyons is the other one. And then finally, there is one other one that if you don't pay attention to it, it's not the biggest thing, but you do want to probably check it out, is Accident on the Docks. Brian O'Neill, Lion Tamer. Coincidence? I think not, people. This guy got hurt. Roy Slade's Wild African Extravaganza. Biggest ones here is, you want to talk about Hegler's Circus. That's about it for this one. And then, of course, Barry O'Neill. I think I said Brian first, whatever. Alright, so we're good. We got our 3 articles. We know what's going on. So let's get some preliminary information, shall we? Let's go to Hogg first.
You do appear to be up to your eyebrows in something, Hogg.
It's the jewel robberies here and on the continent.
Ah, yes, the society burglars and the Oldenburg jewels. I've been reading about it in the Times.
The cases are quite similar in several respects, though I'm baffled at how the thief or thieves have managed to escape detection.
I agree, it is a mystery.
So, what brings you here, Watson?
Holmes and I received a strange note instructing us to check today's Times. We discovered 2 items of interest: the murder of Lyons in Hyde Park and the mysterious death of a Stephen Lyons. Interesting coincidence, don't you think?
Oh, it is. I do wish I could help you, but I haven't kept up with the latest since I buried myself in this jewelry business.
So it is weird. You can kind of approach this 2 ways. I'm going to do the basic, and then I'm going to kind of go back and forth. I am doing this in the best way to make it so the story makes sense. Because one thing is that you can go and you can end up going and learning information, and you're like, okay, how does that work? Because there's nothing stopping you from going to somebody before something else happens. So all of a sudden Sherlock Holmes will know about somebody, and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't hear that. So one of the little errors in this game. So we're going to go to the police station, check it out, Scotland Yard.
Oh, no. What do you want? I thought I was going to have a nice quiet day.
Somebody has asked us to check today's Times, and I was wondering if you'd be so kind as to tell me what you know about the mysterious deaths in the southeast.
There's nothing mysterious about it. The culprits are in custody at Old Bailey. The victim's body is at Bart's.
And what about the murdered Lyons?
What of them?
What did you find at the scene of the crime? Holmes wants me to record it precisely.
What did I find? 2 lions shot a number of times, lying on top of one another. Wagon tracks leading away from the bodies. Footprints in the damp grass.
How many footprints, Inspector?
Oh, who knows? I believe there were 2 sets of boot prints, if you want to get specific. They entered and exited from the wagons. Now, will that do it for you, Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson?
Nearly. And what became of the wagon? Surely Holmes will want to know that.
Abandoned in Archbishop's Park. I had a man drive it over to our central carriage stables, largely so that someone could look after the horses.
Aha.
Any motives for the murder?
Unfortunately, I haven't a clue.
Alright. Cool. But we're going to stay in Scotland Yard. We're going to see what the Emmys have to talk about. Doctors. So our next person is HR. Oops. What do you got for me, H?
Why, HR, whatever are you doing?
Going home, Whitson, going home.
Going home? I was hoping you could answer a question about the mysterious death of Stephen Lyons.
Lyons. Ah, yes, 896. No real evidence for that one. Just some clothes. No personal effects. Clothing undamaged. Traces of sea salt indicating he may have been a sailor. Well, that's about it. Now, if you excuse me, I'm off. Ta-ta!
Ta-ta.
And do say hello to your friend Mr. Helms for me, will you, old chap?
I'm guessing that's the noise saying, we didn't really give you that much info. Alright, so now we're going to leave Scotland Yard, and we are going to check out that carriage that he talked about.
Did the dispatcher show you the wagon, Holmes?
Not only did he show it to me, it revealed some very interesting clues.
Oh, do tell.
The wagon housed a cage, which of course was no surprise. The door was wide open. I found that the padlock had been sprung, left to dangle on the ring bolt. Blood was smeared all over the stairs leading in and all over the floor inside.
Oh, how perfectly nauseating.
It was. But what interested me even more was what lay in the corner of the cage.
What was it?
2 large leather collars. Attached to the end of each collar was a leather pouch. Both pouches had been ripped open and emptied.
What do you suppose it adds up to?
Time will tell, Watson. Time
Some
will
jewels, maybe? Alright. Next, let's do a little bit of creativity here. Let's go to the courthouse. Go see our man, Edward Hall.
The victim, Stephen Lyons, was last seen in the company of Sylvia Carpenter, Marcy Edwards, and Collier Eddy at the Red Bull Inn. It was a simple matter for the police to identify and apprehend them. Would you like to talk to them?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Tell me, Miss Carpenter, what happened last evening?
He just dropped down dead, he did. I done nothing to him, I swear it.
Miss Carpenter, did you know the gentleman?
Never seen him before. Marcy, me and Collier was just sitting around talking about this and that, and the sailor comes up and he says he'd like to join us. So we started off to Marcy's place. We only got a few steps and the sailor starts gasping for air. He made an awful sound and then he just keeled over dead. I took off like a shot.
Did you notify the authorities?
No, why should I?
And the Emmy goes
He
to...
just dropped over, dead as a doornail.
That's precisely the story Miss Carpenter told us.
Well, then that proves that it's the truth. Looks like the coppers got the wrong girl. But that ain't unusual, is it?
I understand the man was robbed.
Well, the man was dead. What use did he of a few quid?
Dead or not, it's still stealing, my good woman.
I was out for a little fun is all. Never seen the bloke before, and I had no cause to harm him.
The police seem to think that his money and gold earring might have been cause enough.
Well, I took the opportunity as it came is all, but I didn't murder him for it.
Oh, no. Alright, so they definitely got the wrong people. Now it's about figuring out who. Alright, so let's check out this Red Bull Inn, find out more information. But on our way there, why don't we figure out a little bit about Mr. Lyons? See what's going on with him.
Lyon's landlady says he's dead.
We
No.
already know that, Watson. Did you find out anything else?
He owed her 2 months back rent, but he told her he'd be paying up plus several months in advance come Tuesday.
Okay. So, expecting a little bit of money, most likely. Yeah. So let's check this Red Bull in and out.
Stephen Lyons. He was a first officer for Aberdeen Navigation on the SS Trueheart. But he was always talking about buying his own ferry boat. He was in here just last night.
Was anyone with him?
He came in with a red-headed bloke, but the fella left after just that one drink. Then Lyons has a drink with Wally Sharp, who comes in now and then. Sharp left, and Lyons spots Sylvia Carpenter and that Marcy Edwards, who was sitting with one of their regular customers, Collier Eddy. So Lyons goes over there. Staggers over, if you want to know the truth, though he hadn't had but a couple of drinks. I've seen him put quite a bit away at other times without ever showing a sign. So he goes over there, sits down, they get all friendly-like, and then they all left together.
Alright, so we got a redhead, Sharp, and then we once again heard what company he works for. Alright, so let's check out this Sharp dude. Let's find out. 'Cause we don't have the name of the redhead, and unfortunately we can't just simply type in redhead. What is Sharp?
Captain Sharp, how well did you know Stephen Lyons?
He was my first officer. Fact is, we didn't get on too well. He didn't like taking orders. Always talked about having his own ship someday. But Aberdeen's doesn't pay much, so where would a man like him get his hands on that kind of money?
When did you see him last?
Last night at the Red Bull, we had a drink together.
Okay, well you told me nothing except for that he has dreams of having money, which everybody does. So let's go and figure out this guy's job. It's under shipping. Shipping companies.
Stephen Lyons has been on board for about 2 years now. To tell you the truth, I had just begun to look into irregularities in his paperwork.
What prompted you to do that?
It seems like some things started disappearing from behind locked doors. Never found any of it. But when I asked him about it, he was rather evasive.
My, that sounds incriminating.
But more than that, I had reason to believe that he carried unassigned cargo for his own profit.
What sort of cargo, Mr. Eason?
Everything, from horse collars to gems to French perfumes.
When did you discover this?
Following our recent passage on the Rhine.
Alright. We got a lot of information about Mr. Lyons. There's some connections with the docks, with transportation, with all this stuff. So I think it's time to go another direction and check out this circus. And see if those lions belong to them.
What can I do for you two hombres?
We're investigating last night's murder of the 2 lions in Hyde Park.
Oh, now that was something. I'm telling you, I've been from the Pecos to the Pampas, from the Sierra to the Sahara, and I never would have thought I'd have 2 of my lions killed in the capital city of the civilized world.
Oh my. Then the lions were yours, Mr. Slade?
Well, in a manner of speaking, they were with the show. Barry O'Neill actually owned them, poor compadre. He's laid up in St. Thomas Hospital with a busted leg. He was helping unload the ship yesterday when a crate fell smack on him. He'll be laid up for some time. Poor fella. Poor me, his cats kind of made my show.
Do you know how he acquired the cats?
Oh, he caught him himself in Africa with his bare hands. Probably the only hands that ever handled those cats. I'm telling you, they take your head off as soon as look at you.
So no one else could safely get close to the lions?
Well, there's Barry's wife. She's traveling with the show, too. Well, she's in the act, but just window dressing, if you know what I mean. I hear she's staying with Barry's folks here in London.
Alright, so we got Stephen Lyons. We know a lot about him. So we figure out the circus. Let's St. Thomas, I think is what he said, hospital. Alright. Alright.
Mr. O'Neill, Dr. John Watson, may I speak with you for a moment?
What about?
Your Lyons. We're investigating their murder.
Oh, you're from the police?
No, I'm working with Sherlock Holmes. The Lyons were yours, were they not?
Yes. And such good lads, both of them. Lenny and Bruce. We've been together so long. I don't know what I shall do without them.
Do you have any notion who would want your Lyons dead?
No, not really. I can't quite imagine who would... Oh, 2 innocent lions dead.
There, Mr. O'Neill. I assure you, Mr. Holmes and I will get to the bottom of this.
They added music to make that like really big, but yet I felt like I got nothing out of that. Like nothing. All right, let's do some information at the Somerset house. Let's talk. What do we got going on?
It appears that Barry and Thomas O'Neill are the sons of Carol and Olivia O'Neill.
Very observant, Watson.
It was nothing, Holmes.
Okay. So we have somebody else to talk to. So we got a Barry, we got a Thomas. So O'Neill's. So we're chasing this lion thing real well here. Here you go, Carol and Olivia. Which we know Barry's wife's there.
I was wondering if you could tell me anything about the death of your son's lions.
Oh, I wish we could. You know, Barry has traveled all over the world. And to think it would happen right here in London.
You've traveled with him, haven't you, Mrs. O'Neill?
Yes, I did. For all 5 years of our marriage. But I must say I'm getting a bit weary of it. I mean, really, Mr. Holmes, it's no life for a married man to go traipsing all around the world.
Of course it isn't. He should settle down and raise a family. My husband, Carol, could get Barry a job down at Rogers and Singer. Before I die, it would be nice to have one of my boys right nearby.
Where is your other son?
Last we heard, Thomas was in Oldenburg, Germany.
Germany? Roy's late show just finished a tour of Germany, did it not?
Yes, it did.
Tell me, did you happen to see your brother-in-law while you were there?
I certainly did not. But my husband might have. I can't really say for sure. You see, we don't talk about Thomas much.
I don't mean to pry, but may I ask why?
Oh, it's nothing really. You see, years ago, Thomas loaned Barry some money when he was trying to put together his animal show. And now Thomas believes that Barry is forever in his debt.
Alright. This guy Thomas sounds pretty pretty interesting here. Let's read his file. Let's see what file we get. Accused of jewelry. Oh boy. He's a redhead, this Thomas. And we keep hearing about redheads. I think we got something here. Alright. So we have a suspect list. Let's see what O'Brien thinks of our suspect list. Let's see if there's anybody he can talk about.
Let me have a look at this list. Of all of these people, Thomas O'Neill is the only name that rings a bell. He was a suspect in several jewel robberies, but he was never convicted.
I see.
I see. Alright, so we have one more person who I think will help finish off a few things for us. And that's my boy Porky. He is our resident, CI.
Don't know a thing about them jungle-type lions, but I might be able to help you out with Stephen Lyons.
How so, Shinwell? Did you know him?
Well, he came in here from time to time whenever his ship was in port. Friend of mine up at Pentonville knew his brother. Says the two of them were lock pickers of the ace variety. Anyways, just yesterday afternoon, Stephen Lyons comes in here with some red-headed fella. About an hour after Lyons left, in comes Derek Quinn, and he struts right over to this red-headed bloke.
Who might Derek Quinn be?
Don't know, sir. But I've never liked the looks of him, I haven't.
Oh, boy. What about Thomas O'Neill? Do you know anything about him?
Don't believe I've ever met him. But from what I hear about the bloke, I'm surprised I didn't run into him in the slammer.
What have you heard?
It's only rumor, mind you. But he's suspected of every jewel theft from here to Timbuktu. And they says he'd two-time you in the wink of an eye if it'd line his pockets.
Well, there you go. There you go. Our cases have connected. So we got Stephen Lyons, the lock pick. The lock was picked, and he didn't want to pay him. Sounds about right. All right, let's this Derek Quinn guy. Let's see if we got any information on him though, real quick. Ah, here we go, baby. Vipers Unlimited. Is there a Vipers Unlimited? Oh, I feel good about this. We are understanding things. Let's see here. Oops.
What did you learn, Watson?
Not a thing, Holmes.
You learned nothing?
Nothing?
Get testy, Holmes. There wasn't anyone about.
My humble apology.
Oh. Well, I think we learned what we needed to learn. I mean, it's there. It's there. Can the Street Boys get me anything on this? Vipers Unlimited. I feel good. I think we know what happened. I think Thomas took them all out, killed the Lions, killed Stephen Lyons. He killed Stephen Lyons because he didn't want to share the money, and because his brother wasn't, or his brother-in-law, I don't know which one's which. I'm confused on that piece, on if she married in or if he married him. Actually, no, I guess it must be brother. His brother must normally help him out, but because of the broken legs, wasn't able to. Pissed off. I don't know who left the note. It was either, I guess, his wife, maybe. I don't know. Let's solve this case, shall we?
Hear ye, hear ye. The Queen's Court stands in order. A pleasure to see you again. So it's the murder of the Lions you're investigating, isn't it?
It is.
Excellent. But first things first. Tell me, who murdered those unfortunate beasts? Remember, you're to choose either from your notebook or the directory.
Oh, I will. Oh, I will. Drum roll, boys and girls. Alright, who did it? It was that numbskull, Thomas.
Right you are. Now tell the court,
I know.
why did Thomas O'Neill kill the Lions?
Oh, he killed him for the jewels. That's what he did. He killed him for those jewels. Yeah. He killed him for the jewels that were around his neck. That's where those bags were.
Good work.
I know.
Now for Thomas O'Neill's accomplices. I am told that there are 2 other criminals involved in this case. Please inform the court as to their respective identities. Do remember, you can choose only one at a time. But don't worry. I will inform you if you make an inaccurate choice.
Well, you have the original lion tamer, which is his brother or brother-in-law. I don't really know where the... What? And Stephen Lyons.
It appears you've been doing your homework on this case.
Yeah, I have.
Now then, what role did Barry O'Neill play in the crime?
Dude, he was the guy with the lions. Yeah, he fastened him on the lions. He was the only guy who could work with them.
Quite so. Now tell us, what essential role did Stephen Lyons play in this crime?
He picked the lock because Barry was a little out of the way.
Excellent deduction. Now tell us, who murdered Stephen Lyons?
Well, oops. That would be Thomas. Thomas, you bad boy. Thomas did a lot of stuff here.
Good show.
I know.
But do tell the court just how Thomas O'Neill did the foul deed.
Snake venom. Snake venom. They were in a zoo.
What a ruthless chap, that O'Neill.
Yeah.
Seems to have all kinds of blood on his hands. Now tell me, why did he kill Stephen Lyons?
Well, my good sir. He didn't want to pay him.
Double-crossed.
Yeah,
now,
of course.
There's a tale that Lyons didn't live to tell. Good show. You've done a most satisfactory job on this case.
Thank you.
Court is recessed.
Thank you.
Until the next time, of course.
Of course. See you later, dude. Good show.
Excellent job on a most difficult case. If we had been doing our best, we could have solved this one in less points, but we're not too far off, are we?
Dick.
Right this way, Inspector.
Right this way,
I'm a busy
Inspector.
Man, Holmes. I don't have time to be traipsing about London at your beck and call.
You'll make
I want you to
time.
call me here.
To help you with this case.
Oh, yeah? How?
By solving the double murders of Lyons and Lyons.
You know who killed the beasts and the chap on St. George's Road?
Yes.
Of course.
And I think you'll be very interested in learning why the deed was done.
Go on, then. I'm listening.
As you must recall, Inspector, 5 months ago, Thomas O'Neill, a jewel thief, escaped a London police search.
We almost had him.
Almost apparently was not good enough. Less than 3 months later, he was detained in Germany in connection with the stolen jewels of the Duchess of Oldenburg. Although the theft was similar to O'Neill's style, they found no evidence to hold him.
What has all this to do with dead lions?
I was just coming to that, Inspector. At the same time as the Duchess's jewels disappeared, Roy Slade's Wild Animal Show finished its German tour. Barry O'Neill, brother of Thomas, happens to be the lion tamer for the troupe.
Could Thomas have used Barry O'Neill's lions to smuggle the jewels into London?
Excellent hypothesis, Watson. I see you are learning.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm even
But
better at
where did he put the
demeaning
jewels?
you.
Behind the lion's back molars?
No need for anything as deep-seated as that. Leather collars with pouches did the trick.
But if the lion tamer put the pouches on, why did Thomas O'Neill have to kill the lions to get them off?
Oh, I know that one. Because Barry O'Neill was in hospital with 2 broken legs.
Right you are, Watson. And that's why Thomas had to solicit the help of Stephen Lyons. Without a key to the cage, he needed the services of an expert lockpicker like Lyons.
Oh.
Then who killed lions?
You mean the animals or the man?
The man.
Thomas O'Neill, so that he wouldn't have to pay for the lockpicker's services.
You know, Holmes, the fracture that Barry O'Neill suffered would have mended in 4 weeks. If Thomas would have had some patience, he would have been able to get his jewels back without any complications.
Ah, yes, Watson. Patience is a virtue. Unfortunately, it seldom comes hand in hand with stealing and murder.
Having spoken with Barry O'Neill, I can't believe he'd be a party to the killing of his own lions.
I don't believe he was.
That wasn't part of the original plan.
I've got to hand it to you, Holmes. You've done a fine job on a most difficult case.
Oh, I know.
Thank you, Inspector. But it really was elementary.
One more thing, Holmes.
Inspector?
We know in the case of Mr. Lyon's death that the murder weapon was poison. Wherever did Thomas O'Neill get it?
Derek Quinn, Vipers Unlimited.
I certainly am glad that this case is shut. But there is one thing that I'm not certain of.
Yes?
Who did leave the note on our doorstep in the first place?
Elementary. Mary O'Neill.
The lion tamer's missus?
I believe she'd had her fill of circus life and was ready to settle down. When she suspected Thomas O'Neill and her husband were involved in jewel thieving, she knew it was time to get out.
Holmes, you are simply amazing.
I know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So nice. That is the end of our first mission.